There's so many fears that we have that we kind of talked about last time, like fear of being judged, and I'm in a stage of my life where I don't give up what people think, okay? And I used to really care about that, oh, a lot. But now it's like, no, I'm being me, and if you're not feeling it, fine.
So today, I choose a new relationship with fear. I recognize that fear is not my enemy. It is often the doorway to my next level of growth. I release the belief that fear is a sign to stop. Instead, I see it as an invitation to become more courageous, more resilient, and more aligned with my true purpose. Welcome everyone to another episode of Spirit Inspired Conversation, a space where everyday conversations inspire deeper reflection, higher awareness, and a more conscious way of living. I am Minra,
I'm Dr. Linda.
and we are your hosts. So we're super excited to kick off another episode. As you guys can recall, we did the energy of fear last week in our episode that we did, and we discussed a lot of things having to do with what fear is, and really how it manifests in our lives from the standpoint of the mind, the body, and even within a spiritual context. Dr. Linda gave so many good examples around how fear really manifests in those aspects. And we dove, as I said, a little bit deeper with respect to the spiritual side of it. And I hope that, you guys actually got to see that video. If you have not, please go back and watch that video. We're trying to do the videos in a somewhat of a sequential way so that you guys can really build on each topic as we go along. Sometimes we'll have some random ones in there, like disclosure, right, Dr. Linda? That was like a fun one to discuss. But
Rel- Relevant to the moment.
exactly. So be sure to rewatch that if you haven't. So for today's episode, we're going to be focusing on, really how to navigate fear, how to overcome fear in your life. Because we thought that since we spent so much time talking about, what fear is and how it's manifesting, we thought it would be important to at least spend some time. This episode might not be the longest one, but we just want to at least spend some time to really dive into how we go about navigating fear in our lives. So we'll get a little bit personal around that. So that should be interesting. And so you can have that example to use in your life and to apply it to walk into your own purpose, to walk into more higher alignment with your higher self, all of that. So we hope this episode is inspiring to you. Yes, Dr. Linda, go ahead.
Yes, because I think it's so important for us to give strategies to handle fear because it's so prevalent in our lives. So, yeah, Minra.
Thank you. No, definitely. I totally agree. And like we said in the previous episode, to be quite frank, guys, we know for the vast majority of people, fear is really what's blocking us from moving into that next phase, to shifting our identities from where we are to where we want to be. As Dr. Linda had brought up, it might be manifested in different ways, whether procrastination or, self-doubt or whatever it is. But it's a manifestation of fear and it's blocking us from moving into that next phase. So I will go ahead and start first with how I have navigated fear in some respects for myself. And it's it's very interesting because as we spoke about in I think the first episode, we spoke about how we had been planning to do this whole podcasting thing or this YouTube channel around spirit inspired conversations for like a year plus ago, and even prior to that, there were several conversations we had about our own personal lives and our own journeys as to what we want to happen in our lives and stuff. And for me, I struggled a lot with how I identified to the external world, how people perceived me, how other people's opinions really, were toward me. And as a result of that, that definitely impacted how I operated. It impacted the things I posted or created, etc. And I had to really learn how to navigate that within myself, within my own personal identity, even from the standpoint, like, of understanding where is this really stemming from. I think for me, I had to really dive deep. I had to really do a self-assessment to understand, like, why am I why am I afraid of all these things? Why am I afraid of people's opinions and, fearful of how I'll be judged or, whatever the case is. And it brought me to different periods of my life that, shed light onto why that was coming up. And I think that's going to be an important aspect of the conversation that you have to be willing to go into your past a little bit because a lot of the times the fear is coming up because of things you had went through before. It's a ripple effect from past events, past trauma, whatever it might be. And so it might not be those exact things, but just bear in mind that you might have to go back a little bit to address it. So for me, a big strategy on my end was the fact that I had to go back. I had to go back into my past. I had to really talk myself through things that happened in my past and to help me, come to terms with what happened, to then come back to the present and be like, it's all good. I can accept what happened then. I could give myself the grace, the love, the forgiveness, whether to myself or to someone else in that mental framework, and then create that space for that and now come back into the present with that being my perception to that past reality. So now having a more self-aware, a more conscious state of being to that past to now translate it into the present, into my perception around my present. So then it gave me that momentum to now feel more comfortable with addressing the reality I want to bring forth now and it not being blocked because of my fears. And because at the end of the day, guys, we are creating all these things, within ourselves. It's literally like makeup stuff. A lot of it is me. We're just making up this all this stuff to hold ourselves back, you know. And whether it is regardless of what the fear is founded on, you have to understand that it starts in the mind and we can overcome it. And the last strategy I think from my end that I think has been very helpful is just being very grounded. And what I mean by that is just for me, like I do try to meditate as much as I can, but I allow it to hold like a not like a routine vibes like okay at this time 7 a.m. I'm going to meditate at 8 p.m. I kind of just try to go throughout the day being very very self-aware but in a way that is meditative. And so throughout different periods of the day I'll sit back within myself and just I'd say like Hola vibes, but yeah, kind of like just Hola vibes. I will say in Jamaica like Hola mids, just USA a bit, but do it like very consistently, so it kind of just becomes quite natural for me. And so in doing that and being able to stay grounded, it allows me to think about things with a lot more clarity. So remember what we had discussed with what Dr. Linda said, like once we're in that fear mode, that survival mode, is your brain is not going to be in a relaxed state. So you're not processing things as clearly. So I try my best to stay in that very zen space so that I can think more clearly and I can address my personal issues in a more grounded way. So that really helps or has helped me a lot on my journey. And I hope, it can serve you in yours if you apply it for yourself also. So how about you, Dr. Linda? How do you approach, the fears that have popped up in your life?
No. Well, as a child, I was very introverted. I was shy, um, timid, you could say fearful. And so all my life, I've been navigating that issue of how to deal with things that cause fear within me. So now, over the years, I've developed a way to handle that. So when a fearful thought comes up, I immediately work to counter it.
Mhm,
So I'm going to give some strategies.
mhm,
Um, I developed a fear of heights about 12 years ago. It's
mhm,
the weirdest thing. Just, I never had an issue with heights, but all of a sudden, it came out from nowhere. I don't know.
mhm,
But perhaps, when you work on yourself and you peel back layers of issues and whatever the case may be,
mhm.
sometimes you find a new layer of something that you have to work through.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling like it was some past life issue that I hadn't dealt with that it sort of surfaced as I was peeling back all of these layers. But anyway, um, so for example, if I was watching a movie and the view was looking down from, say, the edge of a cliff, my knees would physically get weak and my legs would get tingly. It is so weird. And remember, I'm watching a movie. I'm not on the cliff, okay? So it's like the whole mind thing again. It's all in your mind, but it manifested in the physical. So in real life now, if I'm in a high-rise building and I'm looking over the balcony, in order to do that without the tingling feeling and the weak knees, I ground myself. So I take a deep breath, and on the exhale, I'm pulling energy from the top of my head to deep into the ground. And it's like grounding me, it's pulling me back down to the earth. And so that I'm stabilized. And it really, really helps. It's a really wonderful technique for those kinds of fears around that. Just ground yourself. Just take the energy from and take a deep inhale and pull the breath all the way up over the top of your head, and then when you're exhaling, you're bringing the energy all the way down, all the way past your feet into the ground. And you do that a few times and it's very stabilizing. So that actually works for me. And something else, okay, nobody likes to go to the dentist, I don't guess. When I have to go to get a procedure where they'll be numbing me, and I know there'll be some pain involved with the needle piercing my gums and the lidocaine going in. And because I'm not a fan of pain, I put it out of my mind until I'm sitting in the dentist's office. So why should I spend 2 weeks fearing my dental appointment when I only need to spend a few minutes when I get to his office and I'm in the waiting room? It's like, okay, then I will allow myself to get into whatever fear that's there. But I'm not doing it in advance because why? It's not serving any purpose and it's just stressing me out and I'm still going, so it's not going to change anything. And sometimes we may have like a fear of a future event, and that whatever that event may be may trigger a fear response whenever you think about it. So when that happens to me, I use the concept of pivoting. So I pivot the fearful thought into one that results in a positive outcome for me. So, what we focus on expands. So if we focus on a fearful outcome, there's a greater potential for it not coming out in our favor. So if we pivot in a positive thought, there's a greater potential for the outcome being in our favor. So, I may be pivoting 10 times a day or more regarding various issues. The point being, I'm not dwelling in a fearful state. As soon as I feel myself going in there, it's like, oh, no, okay, let me either pivot into a positive outcome for this or just pivot myself into thinking a thought that makes me happy or relax. So it's taking my mind out of that whole fear bubble, So yeah, we have to work with ourselves to pivot out of move out of fear. But the more you do, um, the more you practice something, the more it becomes a part of you. And I'll probably be saying that a lot more in future podcasts, but it's true. So if you practice pivoting or whenever you feel first like fearful, yeah, nope, I'm gonna go over here. Then over time, you're not in that fear mode for long, as soon as it comes, you'll automatically pivot as opposed to it coming and you start waddling in and it's like, oh, okay, I got to pivot. Again, the more you do it, the quicker you pivot. And there's so many fears that we have that we kind of talked about last time, like fear of being judged, and I'm in a stage of my life where I don't give up what people think, okay? And I used to really care about that, oh, a lot. But now it's like, no, I'm being me, and if you're not feeling it, fine. But if I'm doing what I think is my truth and my authentic self, and I'm doing my purpose, then they're always gonna be haters, regardless. So I don't even think about that or deal with that. Um, and procrastination, that whole fear of failure, that is really has had been a challenge for me. And I still every now and then it's like, oh, I don't know if it's going to work. And then you don't put the energy into it and you procrastinate and do something else instead of that and do something else until you're up against the wall and you have no choice, but you have to address it. Well, that gets really stressful in a whole nother area. So to keep myself from procrastinating, I try to take care of business when it comes up, or at least with the understanding that when the outcome for whatever I'm working on is going to be positive. And then, as Raj was talking about, Minra was talking about people pleasing, fear of not being loved or accepted. That is a big one. And he talked about how to move through that. And jealousy, and I'm going to wrap up with the jealousy because it is also a fear of not being enough or fear of inadequacy. So when we come across situations that cause us to be jealous, it's important to examine, why am I feeling this way? Am I feeling this way because um, I'm fearing I'm going to lose someone, or I'm not getting the love and attention that I want from that person because they're giving it to somebody else, and I'm not getting what I feel I need? Or if I'm not having someone's total attention, then I'm not enough. So it's really important to look at ourselves and examine and unpack feelings of jealousy and where exactly that comes from. So, fear permeates our life in so many ways. So I'm going to stop here, but it's important whenever that comes up for you, in whatever context, to just stop and know that you don't have to feed into that energy, that you can pivot out of it, that you can do other kinds of strategies to keep you from being locked into a fearful state.
1,000%, 1,000%. So thank you so much for sharing all those wonderful strategies, Dr. Linda. I think just by listening to you, it becomes quite self-evident that, when it comes on to fear, it's like a battle that that we're fighting with ourselves, and it's not so much about everything that's out there that's happening, but just internally what's going on, and I think that should really prompt us all, in thinking about fear and how it comes up in our lives to pretty much shift our relationship to fear, like, as to what it's an indicator of. I think a lot of the times, not saying this is for everybody or every situation, but I think a lot of the times when fear is coming up, it can be an opportunity for growth. It can be an indicator to say, hey, I need to maybe look more into what is happening, look more into why this is coming up, like I was saying before, and not just look at it as, oh, fearful. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna stop. I'm not gonna go that way. Now, sometimes it's just like, okay, let's take a minute and let's think about like what is coming up for me in this moment. Like what is the driving force behind this? And I think at the end of the day, in shifting our mindset and having a broader spectrum of an appreciation for what fear represents, not just the scary movie type. No, we're not talking about that. We're just talking about that feeling that you get in certain circumstances or when certain things are triggered. In those instances, it carries with it a lot of information that I think is relevant to us in those moments. That would, once we overcome them, will, potentially open another door for us in our personal experience or in our personal journey to get closer to being, closer to ourselves, because I think at the end of the day with this fear thing is like the more we overcome, the more we get to know ourselves, and the more we get to express of ourselves to the world. And I think, my belief at least is that we're all here as a divine essence of the creator, and we are all here to shine the light that we have within us. And the more we overcome that fear, the more we can shine that light, and but the more we stay stuck in this fearful state is like you just it's like you're pouring more water like drip by drip on your little like your little candle with your little light, and you just dripping water on it until it's just gone. And instead of you shining that light and overcoming all these things, you're just dimming that light day by day. So we don't want anybody to dim their lights. We want everybody to be shining, being your authentic self, living in your truth, living in your purpose. So, we really trust that everything that we've shared is really helping and providing some impact, on your life. And so in moving forward, I'm going to go to the sick affirmation, and I hope the last affirmation that we did was really helpful for you. I trust that this one will also be helpful for you. And the theme behind this affirmation is really around, again, transforming how you're relating to fear. I think as you grow spiritually and even just from a personal standpoint, you want to shift how you perceive fear, because that, like we were saying, it's a stepping stone for further growth in your life a lot of the times. So use fear wisely, guys. So I'll read the affirmation for you guys. Um, so whenever I do these affirmations, you can feel free to maybe pause the video or go to a space that you can really listen in, or if you want to repeat it after me while I'm saying it, then, whichever, but feel free to use it as you feel fit for your circumstance. So I'll start the reading. So today I choose a new relationship with fear. I recognize that fear is not my enemy. It is often the doorway to my next level of growth. I release the belief that fear is a sign to stop. Instead, I see it as an invitation to become more courageous, more resilient, and more aligned with my true purpose. I trust that every challenge is shaping me, every obstacle is strengthening me, and every moment of uncertainty is preparing me for the life that I am meant to live. I no longer allow fear to define my decisions or limit my potential. I choose faith over doubt, courage over comfort, and purpose over perfection. With each step I take, my confidence grows because I know that courage is not the absence of fear. It is the willingness to move forward in spite of it. I honor my intuition, I trust the wisdom within me, and I welcome the transformation that comes from stepping beyond what is familiar. I am becoming the person my purpose requires. I am stronger than my fears, greater than my past, and open to the limitless possibilities before me. Today, I don't run from fear, I walk through it. And on the other side, I discover more of who I truly am. And those are the words of affirmation for today, guys. So I truly hope that those words resonate with you and provide some inspiration as you move throughout your own personal journeys. Really take it seriously, guys. Like the more you soak this all in, it really will give you that courage, to walk through all the things holding you back from being in your truth. So I hand it over to you, Dr. Linda.
I really like that. I really
Yeah,
like.
thank you.
All right, we're going to do our close out breathing exercise, and this one is focused on helping you to, if you're having a fearful moment or just in general to deal with fear energy. So you're going to breathe through your nose for a count of four. So, oh, so I'll run you through it first. So you're going to breathe through your nose for a count of four, and as you exhale, you let out a slow, soft hum like hmm, and feel it vibrate in your chest and throat. And what this does, it stimulates the vagus nerve, which was one of the fastest ways to kind of tell your body, okay, it's safe. So. We'll start now. So breathe in through your nose, a big belly breath for the count of four. One, two, three, four. And as you exhale, hum. Hmm. Inhale for a count of four. One, two, three, four. And then as you exhale, hum. Hum. Again, feeling it vibrate in your chest and throat. And the last time, inhale, one, two, three, four, and then exhale. Hmm. So, one more thing, place both hands just below your navel and breathe naturally. And silently or aloud repeat, the threat has passed. I'm safe in this body. I am safe in this moment. And remember, the threat could be physical or you're just having a fearful thought that but the body's reaction is the same.
Thanks so much for sharing that, Dr. Linda. I definitely feel safe, and I felt all the vibration and the everything throughout my body. So, for me, guys, I tend to feel those feelings. I don't, everybody's body is different, so you might feel it differently. But yeah, no, I definitely felt that. I could feel my body relaxing more, as I really engage with that process. So thanks a lot for sharing that, Dr. Linda. And thank you all for joining us for another episode. I think we're like so excited to continue sharing with all of you guys. It's been such a wonderful journey, and we're gonna be working so much harder to give you guys so much more value with the content that we're sharing. And I think, as you can imagine, as we're building this up, just to give you like a little tidbit into where we're going, we want you guys, all of us, not just me and Dr. Linda, but for all of us to really move into this space again, as to just being fully into you, being fully in love with you and in love with what you want to give to the world. So that being said, for the next episode, I'm trusting that it will help to inspire you guys to start taking that action into what you're truly here to do. And we trust that our effort with this, with our YouTube channel, is really inspiring that work. So please subscribe if you have not subscribed as yet. Like and share this content with others who you feel that could find this information really useful. But thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. And we're definitely looking forward to seeing you guys in the next episode. So much love, guys. Peace and blessings.